Billionaires. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and us regular folks are endlessly fascinated by the number of zeros in their bank accounts. So much so that Forbes magazine actively keeps a list of all known billionaires across the world, ranked richest to, I guess, poorest. And yet, looking at the top names on the list, the actual richest person in the world doesn't make an appearance. In fact, they're not on the list at all. So, are Forbes just bad at their jobs? Or is there more to this whole wealth thing than just what's on your balance sheet?
And we are bringing back hundreds of billions of dollars into the United States, and we understand that, and they understand that. Some of the things that have been approved and are currently under construction and will be delivered to Saudi Arabia very soon, and that's for their protection. But if you look in terms of dollars, $3 billion, $533 million, $525 million, that's peanuts for you.
J. Cole once said, "All good jokes contain truth." And this is the face of a man who's just heard a banger of a joke. Mohammed bin Salman, better known as MBS, was born the seventh son of Saudi Arabia's current king. As a member of Saudi Arabia's ruling elite, MBS could choose from one of two career paths: Middle Eastern Diddy or cold political Top Gun. MBS opted for the latter, graduating top of his class in law school, becoming an advisor to his father, and eventually taking on the roles of Prime Minister and Crown Prince. Hold up though. The path to power wasn't straightforward for MBS. If the British royal family is bingo night at the retirement village, securing the Saudi throne is high-stakes poker, with losers often finding themselves detained indefinitely, or simply erased from the map. Fortunately for MBS, he played the game better than his counterparts, ultimately outing the prior crown prince, MBN, and securing the title for himself. That brings us to present-day MBS, next in line to the Saudi throne, and arguably the most powerful man in the Middle East. So, just how much is the guy worth? Starting with his personal wealth, some of bin Salman's most well-known assets include the Serene, a $500 million super yacht, the Chateau Louis XIV, valued at $300 million, and some obscure painting from the Renaissance period. All in all, MBS's personal net worth is estimated to be around $25 billion, and that's just based on assets that can be linked back to him. The thing with billionaire heads of state like MBS is that the vast majority of their wealth is managed through shell companies. To accurately determine MBS's personal net worth would be like trying to determine how much juice The Rock is on. You know he's on a lot of gear, but you'll never know exactly how much. Moving on to the next component of MBS's wealth, state and family-owned assets. Saudi Arabia is the world's primary producer of crude oil, and its oil exports are run entirely through Aramco, the seventh largest company in the world by market cap. Aramco is mostly owned by the Saudi royal family, whose total assets are estimated to sit at around $1.4 trillion. And the leader of the Saudi royal family, you guessed it. But hang on, you might say, isn't the royal family led by the King of Saudi Arabia, MBS's father? While this is technically true, the Saudi king is 90 this year, and has long since handed over all real power to MBS. So, bin Salman is the de facto leader of the Saudi royal family, but the royal family's fortune is spread across some 15,000 members, which means one man can't own all $1.4 trillion of it, right? Well, while MBS can only lay legal claim to a portion of his family's entire net worth, that sure as hell doesn't stop him from big brothering the rest of his family into sharing their pieces of the pie. In 2017, MBS launched an anti-corruption campaign, resulting in the arrest of around 500 prominent Saudi Arabian political and business figures. The campaign has recovered around $107 billion worth of assets from those detained. And where has all that money gone? Who knows? So while on paper MBS doesn't own the entirety of his family's wealth, in reality, there's very little stopping him from tapping into it. Okay, we know MBS is loaded both in terms of personal and family assets, but there's a third source of wealth available to him that is perhaps even more valuable than the previous two. power. And I ain't referring to physical power. This power is about funding wars, detaining the prime ministers of other countries, and disappearing problematic people. Allegedly, at least. Power is the reason that MBS, Putin, or Xi Jinping aren't on the Forbes billionaire list. But at the same time, Xi can have Jack Ma living in his basement for throwing shade at the Chinese government. Also allegedly. So, MBS might not be on the Forbes billionaire list, but this is mostly because Forbes ranks billionaires based on assets that can actually be linked to said billionaire. The ability to arrest your own cousins, take your family's $1.4 trillion fortune for yourself, and start a proxy war in Yemen doesn't really fit the Forbes criteria. So next time you hear someone say Elon's the richest guy in the world, just remember, there's a dude in Saudi Arabia worth a lot more.